listening to a Barrie Colts podcast with your hosts, Ryan Noble and Ryan McArthur. So enjoy.
The rawness, my roaring jaws harness is awesome. Often in dip mics I grip with my paw prints, armed with the sharpest wit.
Hello, and you are listening to a Barrie Colts podcast. I am Ryan Noble, and with me today is
Ryan McArthur on Skype here. For the seventh episode of the Barrie Colts podcast. We had a little bit of a recording issue last time, eh, Ryan?
Yeah, so basically, when you are self-taught, such as myself, you run into the possibility of messing up. And to be honest, I messed up when we were doing the final editing. We thought we had everything ready to go, and by the time we actually had posted the podcast and we had it up on all of our podcast feeds, I found out that the first several minutes of the podcast had somehow disappeared. Now, I've not been able to figure out exactly how or why that happened, so I'm just going to attribute it to my being an idiot. But here we are now, just trying to correct it. We're a few days behind. I got deathly sick for a few days. We were hopeful that Ryan was ready to go with this a few days ago, but I was just out of commission. I could barely talk. So, but here we are, ready to correct our wrong, my wrong. And yeah, how are you doing today, Ryan?
Hey, not bad. Second day, the new job. I got a job at M&P, accounting firm in North Toronto. So, yeah, going through some training. It's going well. I'm a chartered accountant, so that's how I make the bread and butter, and it's gone well so far. It's a new job, so it's a little nerve-wracking, but everyone there has been great so far, and yeah, I'm excited. Yeah,
definitely. And with all that extra bread and butter you're bringing in, you can maybe hire somebody that can actually produce the podcast for a change.
Yeah, maybe.
So we're gonna try to.
You're doing good.
Thank you very much, buddy. We're gonna do our best to just cover the stuff that kind of got left out of the initial recording, and basically we're gonna just kind of crop it together. And so while it might not seem as smooth as previous podcasts or as smooth as I try to pass them off on people, we're doing the best we can with what we have. So we appreciate everyone's patience this week with the latest podcast. Obviously, there's been a lot going on, especially with the OHL trade deadline right around the corner. What day is it today? It's Tuesday today?
Yeah, it's the 8th. So the deadline, I guess the 9th. You looked that up today. Is the 9th overagers?
Yeah, 9th for overagers, and then on the 10th will be the deadline, and that's noon. So.
Yeah, so there's still a bit of time for the Colts to make some deals. So yeah, we'll see what they do. There's a lot going on in the OHL, that's for sure. That's nothing new, though.
No, it's no surprise at all. I mean, there's been a bunch of stuff going on, and a lot of big names moved in the past couple days, even just in the time that we've, tried to record the same podcast.
Yeah, I know.
Since then, though, the Colts haven't really added anything. Basically, as we were recording was when the first few deals had started to, or the couple after anyways, had started to come out. We don't, there's nothing really big that's been added anyways, but we just want to make sure that we have everything that we tried to get to you the first time, as well as our input. So Here we are. And the first trade that we dabbled in was a little while ago now. But it was a big deal that saw the Colts trade their captain, Justin Murray, and he ended up in Saginaw in a 3-team deal that was also involved, the Saginaw Spirit, obviously, as well as the Kitchener Rangers. So it was basically what ended up happening was Murray went to Saginaw. Barrie ended up getting defenseman Jack York, while Ryan Stephan went to Kitchener. Barrie also had acquired a 5th-round pick in the 2020 OHL Priority Selection Draft in that deal as well.
Yeah, so in that trade, it's tough to see the captain go. Justin Murray was one of the most beloved Colts that, I don't know, that I've ever witnessed being in Barrie. Everyone loved him. He was our fan favorite from the Very, Very Colts Awards 2 years in a row.
Back to back.
Yeah, captain of the team. Real character guy, leader of the squad. So
great in the community.
Yeah, all that. He was just stellar. So we wish Justin well and
Absolutely.
hope that he unless the Colts are there, hoping that he can take down a title with the Saginaw Spirit. He deserves it and possibly get an NHL contract. So thanks for everything in Barrie, Justin. We loved watching you play. It was a pleasure. And good luck.
And he's been doing pretty good so far in Saginaw as well. I think it was like his first game. He got like 2 assists or something like that. I can't remember if it was his first or his second, but and these people in Saginaw seem to like him already, and that's not a surprise to Colt fans. Like you said, he's a great kid. He's a great player, and he's an attribute to wherever he plays, whether it be on or off the ice. So that it was tough to see him go, but that's just part of the game.
Yep, that's the way it goes. So the Colts in return ended up getting Jack York, who has a pretty decent offensive punch. He's got a goal and an assist with the Colts so far. So you're looking at September 17th, 2000 born, so that's 2000 plus draft wise, which basically makes him the same as a 2001. So the Colts have quite a few players in that 2001 age group, which is Ryan Suzuki's age, and it's pretty evident that the Colts are building up around Ryan Suzuki for a run for like maybe next year and the year after, possibly the year after that. So Ontario, 6 foot tall defenseman, 192 pounds. Pretty good skater, very mobile, pretty similar to a Nate Allenson type player. He has played with Nate Allenson, actually. They've been paired up, so it's been pretty decent watching them play together. They're looking to grow together over the next couple of years in Barrie and hoping to get drafted as high as they can this year. He came from the Kitchener Rangers. I guess he had... what did he have here? 12 points with the Rangers this year in 28 games, 9 points last year. Overall, he's +1 in his OHL career. Going back even further, when was he drafted here? 5th round, 98th overall by the Kitchener Rangers in the 2016 draft. And he's got some pretty decent hockey pedigree. His dad is actually Jason York. He was in the NHL for a number of years. I think he's got 10 full seasons in the NHL and parts of several other seasons. So yeah, Jason York, I guess he was a defenseman as well. One year he had 35 points, 30 points, usually in the plus. So comes from good hockey pedigree, which is good to see. Always good to have the dad of the players being ex-NHLer. He had a pretty cool story too. His dad played for the Boston Bruins in 2006, 2007, and he had a story about how he got to meet Zdeno Chara when he was a kid. So 2006, 2007, you look, this guy, Jack York, he's 18 now, so back then, that's 10 years ago. It'd be pretty cool to be meeting Chara at 10, 11 years old. What do you think, Rye?
Right, well, especially at that point in his career. I mean, I'm watching, I got the Bruins game on here against Minnesota in the background, as well as multiple other games. But, yeah, no, for sure, especially back then. Not that Chara's, not a great player now, but, I mean, he was something else, obviously, a decade ago. So I'm sure, I mean, no matter what point in any player's career, especially as an aspiring hockey player, it's great to meet any professional hockey players and to be able to be around that like he would have been. That's obviously great to be able to pick the brains of people who have made it to the show and kind of help you set a game plan as you're trying to pave your own way into your future in hockey.
Yeah, I'm reading this off a Kitchener Rangers website, and they're talking about how like he grew up skating around pro players, hanging around NHL rinks with his dad. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, and I guess he's got a quote here. He says, "My dad always taught me to stay humble. No one likes someone who is cocky. He would tell me to always be a good teammate." So yeah, that's a good kind of character guy to come into the Colts. And yeah, with these trades, everyone's kind of upset about it because you're like, well, a lot of the Colts fans are upset about it because you're losing your captain, one of the favorite players on the team. But everyone always wants to know who won or lost the trade. It's going to be tough to say. Like, I'd say it's tough to say now. Have to wait and see how Jack does, because it could end up working out really well for the Colts. He's a good piece for the future.
Yeah, and it's unfortunately just one of those situations where sometimes, especially with the captain, like you said, like it's tough to see a captain go. But it wasn't that long ago that we saw the Colts send Cordell James to Owen Sound for, what was it, a 5th round pick? So
yeah.
So I mean, it's not like this is anything new for fans, and sometimes you gotta move guys around just to kind of come up with a plan for moving forward. And while you don't want to see a guy like that go, it's just unfortunately part of, well, not just junior hockey, but just hockey in general.
Right.
And I mean, it's still presenting a good opportunity for even Murray over there. So, and especially with Saginaw making some moves as well, that team's going to, they're looking pretty good. So it allows him to kind of have a better run for the end of his OHL career than he might have in a team with Barrie that's obviously trying to put pieces together for the future more than, doing what they would traditionally do, trying to do the best they can that season. So, from that sense,
exactly.
I think it looks good.
So, this trade kind of falls. We read a tweet by Gene Pereira right before the recording got cut off. So I should read it now because it does come into play when we start talking later on in the podcast when the recording picks up from a few days ago. So the tweet from Gene here about the trade deadline is, quote, "With new OHL rules and dealing draft picks, the trade landscape has changed. Many thought Windsor should have got more for DiPietro, but the days of multiple seconds moving in a deal are coming to an end. More emphasis on what year the pick is and getting players in return." So that's kind of what the Colts have done, at least. And you've seen it with several other deals. A few days ago, that was very true. And I mean, I guess it is the case for the most part, but just to kind of get us up to date here, like you look at what Guelph has done, and to get Gordeev, Phillips, and Entwistle, they gave up 12 draft picks, 7 seconds, and 5 thirds. So maybe Guelph didn't get the memo there.
No.
So yeah. But I guess in their situation, most of those picks didn't actually belong to them, so they'd actually stockpiled a bit. So maybe that's the case. And those are 3 very quality players that Guelph acquired. So yeah, it is what it is. I mean, some people are adjusting to the changes, some aren't. But like another thing we talked about was a lot of people wanted a lot more picks for Murray and Keane in these deals, and I mean, you got to think Jason Ford would have shopped around and got the best deal he could have. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with the deals. I like the young guys they got. We talk about Duhart later, and the Keane deal, so let's not double up that one.
Yeah. Well, is there any notes that we were able to add about that we might not have had at that point?
Yeah, so I got it. Yeah, like basically there was a couple things that I wanted to add about the podcast because we get a chance to correct ourselves a little bit here.
Which we don't always have the benefit of. So you're welcome for messing up, everybody.
Yeah. So like later on I end up talking about the 2000 year, and I don't know, I didn't even mean to do this. It just kind of happened. The 2000 year, the troublemaker Barrie Colts team. And I refer to an article that people should Google and look up but I didn't know the name of the person, and I struggled with it. But I got it. It's Sanaya Saperji. So look that up, Sanaya Saperji, 2000 Barrie Colts, and you'll get some pretty interesting reading there. Another thing I kind of screwed up was I said the Colts had 2 defensemen come in and 1 go out, which at the time wasn't true because we thought Matt Timms was reporting it was 2 in, 2 out for defensemen. But it actually worked out to being 2 in, 1 out because Timms isn't looking like he's going to report. That trade happened a while ago. He didn't join the Colts for the deals. And it
was on the 4th, so it was 4 days ago that deal happened.
Yeah, so the feeling is that the Colts are possibly going to use that acquisition to flip Timms to a contender because he's an overager, serious point producer. So that kind of makes sense now, actually. And we do know now that if Timms does play for the Colts, then that 15th rounder turns into a 6th rounder.
But obviously, with time passing, we've seen that he is not playing with the team right now, anyway.
Yeah.
So it appears that it's a situation where they're looking to move him somewhere else, which could help obviously Barrie bring in some more potential draft picks, anyways.
Yeah,
and who knows when we'll find out, obviously, as the trade deadline is just right around the corner, as we mentioned. But yeah, no, it's a good pickup, and it definitely looks a lot different now in hindsight that we do have that added information on that draft pick changing. And obviously, at the time, we thought Timms was going to be coming to Barrie because there was no reason for us to think it wasn't the case. But
it had happened that day, so I guess it was 4 days ago when we were.
I think it just came out. Yeah,
just came out. Yeah.
Because it was like the deal with
him. Or the day before or something. And then, yeah, I got one more thing to fix. Too many errors. So, no, this actually isn't a fix. This is just kind of an updated information. I had a source tell me that the Petes were looking at Jason Wilms about 4 or 5 days ago. And that same source has now told me that the Colts have told everyone that he's not available for trades, which kind of makes sense because they're down to 2 1999s, so they can use them next year. And it could also be posturing by the Colts to say, oh, he's not available to get a better price, but who knows? And yeah, we end up talking a bit later about the possibility of Wilms, maybe Chiodo, and Brown getting moved because they are older players, and it looks like the Colts are in that kind of position where they're wanting to go for it in a couple of years. So we don't even have an update on that because the trade deadline hasn't passed. So
yeah, and I've heard nothing. Especially, I had assumed anyways that we would have heard a lot more talk anyways about Chiodo at this point. And it did, like everything that I've seen and then everyone I've spoke to, I haven't heard anything on anyone even really. Not that people aren't inquiring, but just there's not much talk on that front, which, obviously he would have been one of the guys that I'd anticipated would obviously bring in the better haul, right? So, but as of right now, and obviously a lot can change in the next over a day, there's nothing, or not even over a day, I guess. So by tomorrow, basically, there's just been nothing. So we'll obviously keep our eyes open and our ears open. And if there's any updates on that, we'll obviously be sure to post it on our Twitters or the blog's website as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like I'm actually pretty happy with the deals. I like what they've done. Even if they do decide to keep Chiodo, Wilms, and Brown, it's not that like that would possibly be like they could possibly actually win something this year. Like I wouldn't count them out just yet. Everyone seems to be writing them off, but the top 6 with like Suzuki, Wilms, Bakar, who else you got? Tortora. Yeah. And I mean they got some players, and if they maybe move the younger guys up the lineup like we talk about later, and spread it out a bit, they could be a team that if they get hot goaltending from the 2 goaltenders who are actually playing great right now, Greaves and Kai Edmonds, they could make some noise. And you still got Tucker on the back end running the power play. So these moves actually make a lot of sense, and we'll see what they do in the next couple of days. But if they stick with the team, I'm happy, and if they get moved for some assets or some younger guys, I'm also happy. So,
and that's the whole thing too. Is this is happening as well at a time where we were neck and neck pretty much with North Bay for that last spot, last playoff spot in the East, and just recently North Bay has been just steamrolling. There's no guarantee that that they're going to keep that momentum. Barrie had been struggling in this time, so these are two teams that were already very close to one another position-wise. Who one of them, it come 2 weeks from now, the positions between the two of them could be very different. Barrie gets a few wins, North Bay loses a couple games. They just need those few points to possibly get in, and when the playoffs come, anything can happen. And the team has the potential to be decent. I'm not going to say that they have the team to win everything.
No.
But they have the team to they have a team that won't necessarily just get steamrolled by whoever they end up playing. They're a team that could be easily overlooked when in reality there's still a lot of people that can score goals. And the way that it looks like at least the goaltending situation is starting to kind of be a little bit more clear. You're seeing Kai Edmonds get a lot of games. He's looking good. He's looking confident. We've been saying the whole time for someone to get confident, they need games. And right now the team looks that, he's their guy right now. And when they've been playing Jet Greaves has looked good.
Yeah, he had a good game in between, in the last few days. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's really all it takes. If these guys can get confident, if they can just, figure things out. Picard's just, he's only played one game since he's been back from the
and he killed it. He was incredible.
He got 3 points. So, once the lines kind of shape out more and some of the new guys kind of start to mesh into the system, you never know what can happen. I feel the same as you. I'm happy with the deals. I'm not as upset as a lot of people seem to be. Not to say that they don't have a reason to feel that way. I'm not looking at it the same way as they are. I feel like the team is bringing in assets. We've got the potential of being able to bring in more guys in the future, and we've still got a little bit of stuff to work with for right now. And as a fan, I find it hard personally for me to be upset with that.
Yeah, I agree. It's the Barrie Colts are a model of consistency. Usually, I think they've only missed the playoffs twice.
2 times.
In 24 years. It's 25 next year, right?
It's the big birthday, bud.
Yeah, so I mean, they'll probably make the playoffs again this year, and could make some noise. And I wouldn't want to face them in the first round, with guys like Picard and Tortora and Suzuki. They got a lot of skill. Jason Wilms, if they keep Chiodo. Yeah, good team. Tyler Tucker on the back end, and we just depend on goaltending. If you get hot goaltending, anything can happen.
The next trade, Joey Keane to London. As London Knights, we're definitely not London Knights supporters here.
Definitely not London Knights supporters.
I'd rather see Saginaw win it than London. But should we get into the Joey Keane trade here?
So we picked up Dalton Duhart.
Yeah.
We also got a second round pick in 2020, which is a Niagara pick. And then there was a couple conditions added as well, where Barrie could also get a third round pick in 2023 and a second round pick in 2024. They didn't really give the conditions, but I think it's safe to assume that it's depending on whether Keane plays as an overager with London.
Right, and they didn't come out and say that directly, but from sources of mine, I've heard that that's the condition, and that makes the most sense. So
I've heard the same thing as well. So
yeah, exactly. So I guess what do we got here? Dalton Duhart. So he's a forward from the London Knights. He's an American, actually. So where is he from here? From Grand Blanc, Michigan in the U.S. So born January 18, 2001. This is another one of those trades where you're getting a player in return and a draft pick coming up. The second is in 2020, so that's not next year's draft, but the year after, just exactly like Gene mentioned in his tweet. And yeah, Duhart is a pretty good player, 6 foot tall, 181 pounds. Similar situation to the trade for Jack York. Like, you're not going to really be able to tell who won the trade until you see how this plays out with Duhart. And it's another trade where exactly different teams going in different directions. Like, London needed a veteran player of Keane's caliber, and Barrie's looking to load up around Ryan Suzuki. So makes sense to me. What do you think?
Oh, I agree 100%. You know, and I mean, we're getting a guy who, you know, absolutely has potential. I mean, he's played 33 games this season. He's got 11 points. He's got 6 goals, 5 assists. He's a +5. He's got the potential there, anyways. Actually, we got a lot of once he got moved to Barrie, a lot of our social accounts got a lot more followers. I don't know if it was like family or people that are close to him. And then I made that one logo where it was the old WWF Hart Foundation, which was that old Bret Hart group, and I just changed it to the Do Hart Foundation, and that went kind of nuts on Facebook.
Yeah, that's kind of exciting. We love it when we get those people with the families that are super excited about their player, because, I mean, you put out a Tucker tweet and you get like 500 likes or something.
You know. Well, I mean, it's a situation too where you know that people are excited because he's coming to a team where he's going to get a better chance to get a bigger role. You know, in London, he was not getting top line minutes. He was not a top player over there. He was just like a good depth guy. And he might be able to bring a lot more value to Barrie than he was necessarily able to put up for London. Plus the possibility of getting more minutes, more ice time, and a bigger role. You know, it just gives us a chance to kind of help develop him in our system.
And I know for a fact that he is very excited to be coming over to the Colts. I talked to his agent through direct message on Twitter, and he is very excited for the opportunity. So that's pretty much what you want, right? You want to draft or trade for players that want to be here, want to be traded, want that new opportunity, and they're hungry for the opportunity, right?
You know, and I mean, you can't necessarily, especially in a case like this, expect that from all the guys, especially when London is clearly going all in here, and Barrie is not headed in that same direction. So if we can bring a guy in who obviously just wants to play, wants to get minutes, and wants to get better, that's what we should be looking for. And you can't have too many guys like that. So we can just hope that, the development goes better and that he just improves.
Yeah, and you're getting a player here, Dalton Duhart, with a lot of potential. Third-round pick, 47th overall in 2017. He went to the USA Select 16 camp last year, got 4 assists in 5 games. Played in the OHL Cup, got a few goals there. And he's got pretty good pedigree. Like he was also with Bell Tire 16U in his draft year, 42 points in 31 games. So a player that was highly touted coming into the OHL, and third round pick. It's pretty good. A lot of potential. I see a lot of potential in his game. He's a center, skates pretty well. I'd say he's more of his strengths are in his puck skills, and from what I saw, he's got a pretty decent shot. So excited to have him on the Colts.
No, definitely. He's definitely hopefully going to be a good piece anyways moving forward. And that's what the team wants right now.
And actually, there's one more thing about him. He comes from pretty high hockey pedigree as well. His great uncle is Hall of Fame defenseman Larry Robinson, former Montreal Canadiens great.
Wow.
What do you think of that?
That's
the stash.
Definitely. I think we were joking earlier too. I think I need to get a Photoshop of that stash on him, because
you're getting a Photoshop of that stash on you, bud.
Yeah, that's I'm happy you're excited, and you've got a lot of silly, nonsensical Photoshops coming your way. I think we've already got 2 of you. So
yeah, we work.
It does now.
Ryan works quickly.
We're all over that stuff.
That's pretty funny. His dad, Jim Duhart, he was the Flint Generals captain, had 3 50-goal seasons in 14 years as a pro. including 247 goals in 8 seasons. I mean, that's lower level professional hockey, but that's still pro hockey.
That's still good numbers anyways.
I mean, you got his dad being a really good former pro player, lighting it up, and great uncle being Larry Robinson. You can't argue with that hockey pedigree. It's pretty great.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
And then there was actually 2 trades today. The first one was the team had announced earlier that they had sent Jaden Pekka to the Sioux Greyhounds for a 6th-round pick in 2020. So again, a situation where we're just kind of bringing in some more draft picks, which is expected. That's kind of what the majority of fans have been kind of crying for online, and rightfully so. We're obviously not going to be making much of a push this season.
Yeah, and that's a good trade for both teams. The Sioux don't have very many players in that age group. I think there's only one more. So they were looking to get someone into that age group, and it's pretty much looking like a change of scenery type trade. Peck had a great year last year, but he had his struggles this season. And man, I'd just wish him all the best, and hoping he has a resurgence with the Sioux in his career, because he's an excellent hockey player.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it could be one of those situations where the change of scenery could just end up being good for him again. He's got 6 goals, 10 assists through 35 games this season, and you could only look to see that hopefully go up for him in Sault Ste. Marie. But again, it's going to be something where we'll see over time. At the end of the day, the Colts are still bringing in some more picks, and that's really the best spot for them right now. And then to go on to the next trade, which actually was pretty much announced right as we were about to go on, the team traded a 15th round pick in 2020, a conditional 15th round pick in 2020, to the London Knights for Matthew Timms. We were speculating that could have been later on pieces, or in addition to the original trade with Joey Keane. Don't know the conditions on this deal either.
I'd say that's part 2 of the Keane deal, because Matt Timms is definitely worth more than a 15th round pick. So that could
additional 15th round pick.
Yeah, exactly right. You look at his stats here. Last season, he had 35 points in 46 games with the Petes. The year before that, 63 points in 68 games with the Petes. That's pretty solid. I guess this year he had 24 points in 35 games with the London Knights. So that's a player that's definitely worth more than a 15th round pick. And yeah, I'd say that's part 2 of the Keane deal.
Yeah, for sure. He's played 266 career OHL games, and he's totaled 150 points. So, he's over a half a point a game player.
And bringing in a player like that is great news. Even though the Colts are in a situation where they're building for the future, they still have a very good hockey team. I don't know, for a 17th place team, I don't know if I've seen a 17th place team that's better than this. They're underachieving right now, and I imagine that they could be tough in the playoffs. I wouldn't want to be facing them in the first round. They could be a potential upset team. So
they have the potential, and they've got the skill. They've got a lot of guys who can score goals.
You look at guys like Suzuki and some of them could be traded, but Suzuki and Tortora flying around, I doubt those guys will be traded. So there are going to be problems for whoever ends up facing the Colts in the playoffs. Hopefully we make it. We're outside right now, but
if North Bay would just settle down right now, my goodness, chill out, North Bay. It was 6 or a 7 game win streak right now, so they're not making it easy on us.
Yeah, still lots of hockey to be played though, and it's good to see Colts bring in a player like Matt Timms. It gives the fans someone to watch, like a defenseman there to replace, get in there and in the depth chart, because with Murray and Keane leaving, it's nice to have someone in there to replace those guys.
And you help making up for the lack of production that you sent out with Keane on that back end as well. He kind of slowed down a little bit as the season went on. But Keane's a guy that can produce at any time, and Timms has shown that he obviously consistently produced over his career. So it balances that out for us anyways.
Yeah, it's pretty much, I can see what they're doing here. It's working out perfectly. You got two guys going out and one guy coming in on defense. So you're down one defender, which is actually a good situation for the younger D on the team. Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's good. You're looking at Matthew Hill. He's been kind of getting more minutes lately and taking advantage. He was playing really good last night. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're seeing these guys improve as well. So, especially getting more like Keane, that's a lot of minutes to replace. So, these guys are kind of getting spread out a little better than they might have been before when he was in the lineup. So, I mean, we're building that back end more, and bringing in another guy that can produce is just going to help out as well. And we just got to kind of go from there and see how it plays out. But to give out a 15th round pick possibly for a player like that, again, it's you're getting good value there, a 15th round pick. So a conditional 15th round pick is that.
Perfect.
So, but I don't know. I haven't heard anything on what the conditions on that is either. So I can't vouch for what that is.
But yeah, I guess next topic here. We're clearly building around Ryan Suzuki. I already touched on that a number of times, talking about the trades. It just kind of comes up naturally when you're talking about these deals and you're getting guys in their first eligible draft year in return in these trades. And you look at Ryan Suzuki, so he's draft eligible this season, and he's an exceptional player. He's going to be a first-round pick, but he's sort of the type of player that a pro team is going to pick as an investment because the talent is obviously there, but he's not going to knock your socks off next year and make the pro team. Like, he's not the similar player to Svechnikov, who's got that physical prowess. Suzuki's a little bit leaner, could put on a little bit more upper body strength, and so you expect to have Suzuki here in Barrie for probably the next couple years. And with these other guys, they'll also be here the next couple years, like Jack York, Duhart. You already got guys on the team like Nate Allenson, Matthew Hill. Am I missing anybody? Like, you got the young goalies, Jet Greaves, Kai Edmonds. So the Colts are going to be looking to make a push next year and the year after, and they're going to have a really solid team.
And you're getting a chance to build chemistry here, which is a huge deal. Instead of just getting rid of everybody and then trying to rebuild later, and then all of a sudden coming into a season where you've got good players, but you haven't necessarily got that time to play together. So this way now, at least, they're able to focus on that as well, get that chemistry, and just build for the future.
Yeah, you look at their team, like, they're just loaded with guys in that first eligible draft year, like Luke Bignall, and then you got guys a year younger like Tyson Forrester and Riley Piercy. So this team is built for the future, and that's pretty obvious with the way they're moving, and that honestly is the way to go. Being under 500 in January and around Christmas time is it's pretty much time to sell off. Like we were saying in the last podcast, they were hurting a little bit for picks, but it's looking pretty good right now. You got the Erie's second in 2019 next year, and then you got Niagara's second in 2020 coming back in the Keane deal. So you got second round picks in the next 2 years. And they might even be able to get some more seconds. There's been some rumors going around. The Petes are definitely looking at Jason Wilms right now. He's a 1999 born, so he'd be kind of an obvious target for a team looking to make a push for a title this year. Wilms got 9 goals, 16 assists in 37 games. It's never fun to be in a situation where the team is selling. I mean, love watching Jason Wilms, and
absolutely.
But there's a chance he could be moved. Guys like Lucas Chiodo, like, everybody would want Chiodo, right?
He'd be an easy move, and that would be a good way to get some more picks, anyways, as well, right? I mean, there would be a lot like any contender really getting a guy that with his speed and his creativity and his ability to score goals. He's just going to help out any lineup. And he's a great kid to have in the lineup as well. Everyone loves Chiodo.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way junior hockey goes. And it's like a situation for these guys moving on, the guys that have already moved on, Pekka, Murray, Keane, potentially more guys like Wilms, Chiodo, potentially even Brown. Brown would be a good ad for somebody looking to add grit.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, he's got skill too. He's a really good player. He shoots the puck well, and he's just constantly running over guys. So
yeah, no, he definitely brings the intimidation factor, and he's got a nice shot. So these are three really good players that would be tough to part with, but it's looking like a situation where they could not. I'd say from my perspective, if I was the GM of the team, I'd be looking to possibly move them if the price is right. If they're not going to pony up, like just keep them. Let's just.
You don't need to force a deal for the sake of making a deal.
Exactly.
And I think with either one of those players, though, you could get people that are looking for something like that. And I mean, hopefully it's a situation where if there are other offers coming in, there's a few offers, in which case, the team can kind of pick through what they feel would help their team moving forward.
Yeah, and Chiodo's got 50 points. He's a Barrie kid. He's a great person as well as a great player. And some of these guys, like in their last year, well, he's definitely in his last year because he's an overager. You want to see them go for a title. Like they deserve it. He's worked hard. Mm-hmm. He's come from being a 15th round pick to where he is now. He's an exceptional player.
Leading point producer on the team.
That goal the other night where he kind of deked short side and just laid it in there was just, it's just incredible. Like he's a super talented forward.
He's really, really good.
I mean, he's going to get NHL teams are going to be interested in him, so making a deep playoff run would definitely help him on that front.
Well, I mean, he's already on Columbus's radar too after NHL camp.
Yeah,
doing so well with them. So.
He was on the first line when they won
the tournament too.
Yeah.
So I mean. Yeah. Obviously, he's already on radars, and if he's somewhere, even here he'll get noticed. He's already been noticed, but
for sure.
If you get a good playoff run, that's only going to up his value with teams, anyways.
Yeah, definitely.
And then with making room, and with the trades that have already happened, and the potential of some of these other guys maybe getting moved, it's kind of at the point now where you got to look into how the team kind of dresses the lot, or sets the lineups for games. You look at some of the younger guys on the team. It gives them a chance to maybe get more than just fourth line roles with the team, and maybe try to like some of the rookies. Look at Riley Piercy and Tyson Forrester. Great opportunity for them to get better opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I honestly I don't understand why they're on the fourth line every game. We're in 17th place right now, and you look at these guys, like Piercy's got 8 points, he's +5. Forrester has 8 points, he's +5. Piercy has 5 points, +4. They're doing pretty well in their limited role. Like they're out there fourth line, they're getting these very rare 20-25 second shifts, and they're going out there and working hard. And I just don't, me personally, I don't feel like, I definitely feel like there's players in the top 9 that could use a bump down to the fourth line every once in a while, because they're just not bringing it every night, and you got to give these guys a chance to develop. Like especially Piercy, a first-round pick. Like, he's been buried on that fourth line. I remember he moved up and he played with Bignall and Brown, and he got 2 assists that game. And those games are really rare. So, I mean, then you look at Forrester. He's absolutely buzzing around, and I'd like to see them get on the ice more often.
Yeah, definitely.
Personally,
I mean, Piercy, he's getting in scraps too. He had that one fight against North Bay.
Yeah, he's working.
They're both really well-rounded players, and I mean, the team's only going to get better if they can focus on trying to help build those guys, those types of players. And right now, I mean, we've got the perfect opportunity to start working towards that. The team's not really winning at all. I mean, up until just recently, but they've really struggled. So, if you can get a chance to get these guys to work on their confidence, to work on their skills, it's only going to be better for the team moving forward.
And that's exactly the point. Like, you never want to see players start to lose that confidence and get buried on the fourth line. Like, these two guys are exceptional players for that age group, and they can definitely keep up with these top guys. Like, you put a guy like Riley Piercy with the top players in the team, like, he's just flying out there. Like, he's got a great shot, excellent player, physical, go get the puck for guys, battle in the corners. I don't know. That's just my opinion on it, especially where we're at in, like I've said, 17th place. I hate saying it. It's killing me.
Well, I mean, we gotta get used to it right now, unfortunately, because it is the way it is. But I mean, it is, like we said, it's a situation where at least you don't really have anything to lose. So, are you better just kind of doing what you've been doing and just keep kind of scraping by where we are, or even if we end up having the hit of having a few more losses than we've been getting, and trying to get some of these other guys up and going? I mean, I don't expect this team to do a big climb in the standings in this last half of this, or the second half of the season. So let's just, we're obviously stockpiling, trying to bring in pieces moving forward. So let's try to build on some of these guys we already have that will be a part of the team moving forward.
Yeah.
And it's just that simple, I think. So, but that's the only thing we're sure of. One thing that we're unsure of is, I don't know if we can still say, Barrie Molson Center. The December 31st deadline has come and gone.
Passed.
So right now, Barrie plays in the No Name Arena, which you can buy on the shelves at No Frills. I think it's their featured brand. That's Expect them to paint the building yellow and put black font on it. I'm pretty sure that's their colors.
Yeah, it's interesting. They had that deal from Sadlin Motors. I think it was just under $1 million a year, and wouldn't go with that. Thought they could get more.
It's double. The city said we think we could get about double.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Be kind of a story to track going forward.
There's been no news on it either. Once the Sadlon news came out and they were talking with council about the possibility of it was about $1 million a year, just shy of it, because I think the deal would have been for over 25 years. And that came, and then they ended up rejecting the offer, and they said that they, in comparison to what other teams were getting for their deals, that they could bring in more. And since then, I've not heard anything. I've heard some people say that it's going to be getting switched to Park Place Arena, but I mean, I haven't had anything really. Just talk more than anything. Nobody that I would have taken, that might have had an insight.
Pretty quiet.
But yeah, there's been nothing. So it's really, I don't know.
And a company is going to come in and it's going to be named after some sort of company, but
it's like Scotiabank Arena or like something like that.
We've been having a little fun with different possible names. Like I like Barrie Colts Complex. That's pretty cool. BCC. What did you say? Barrie Penalty.
The Barrie Penalty Complex.
Yeah, Barrie Penalty Complex. Because one thing is a given as the Colts fans we're used to lots of penalties. Like the most penalties every year.
There, so you might as well, and I mean, honestly, no matter what the name ends up being, people are probably going to end up calling it BMC forever anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, I still say Skydome, so.
Yeah, some people were saying Barrie Memorial Center, but I think for me, that's too close to Peterborough, because Peterborough Memorial Center.
Yeah.
But we know it doesn't matter. It's a mute conversation anyways, because it's going to be named after a company, whoever ponies up the dough.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess we could it's not a big deal. Just, it is what it is. The name's the name. I'm going to keep calling it BMC regardless.
Sounds good.
It doesn't matter. It's not even like I think Barrie Molson Center. I just think BMC, so it's I'm not really giving Molson any free promotion there. So while the Colts have kind of been hot and cold at times through the season.
Really consistent.
Barrie Colts Alumni, however, in the NHL has there's been a lot of great things going on for a lot of these NHLers, and we're just going to take a bit of a look at some of the guys in the NHL who were in Barrie that are just doing great, doing well, getting opportunities. There's a lot to be excited about.
Blast from the past. So we thought we'd just kind of have a little fun and talk about some alumni.
Just touch on some of the guys who are doing very well anyways.
The first one that comes up obviously is Mark Scheifele from the Winnipeg Jets. He just got named to his first ever NHL All-Star game. So congrats, Scheif, on that one.
For sure.
What a player. The 49 points in 39 games this year, plus 15. Like, look at his plus minus. Every year, go back, plus 15, plus 19, plus 18, plus 16, 11, 9. Like, that's just ridiculous.
And not all of those teams were good Winnipeg Jet teams either. Like, we're not talking like right now and last year, like they were good and they've looked good, but they've been building towards being good. And this guy is just consistent no matter what team they have out there.
Unbelievable. Like, you look back over the last 4 years. I haven't done the math, but if you average that out, it is over a point per game for the last 4 years in the NHL. Scheifele was great on the Colts. Like, oh gosh, like, he did everything well. He was kind of one of those guys that pretty much had it all. Like, he had the shot, he had the one-timer, he could skate well, he had the puck skills. He was just an absolute beast out there. Had the size, got after the puck, worked hard. Probably one of my favorite Colts ever, if not my favorite.
Same here. And it was when he was on the team as well. Like, it was one, like, especially towards the end of his time in Barrie, the team just went through him solely. Like, I mean, it's when anytime he was on the ice, you could tell the team was trying to get the puck to him. And then when he first started kind of getting call-ups and, coming back and forth from the lineup, you could tell when he wasn't there because the team was just kind of looking around like, where's Scheif?
Yeah.
Where am I supposed to put the puck? And he's turning into one of the more elite players in the NHL. Like, we're not just talking about a guy who's a top Colts prospect anymore. We're talking about a guy who is a legitimate NHL All-Star.
Yeah, 2 times on the World Junior Team Canada World Junior Team, 2012 and 2013.
Again, averaging more than a point a game in that time too.
Yeah, unbelievable. Like, he just is like, there's something about Scheif. He's just hockey magic. Like, one of my good buddies got one of Scheifele's old twigs when he played for the Colts, and we were playing pickup hockey. He got like 7 or 8 goals, and he was just sniping. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, he's a good hockey player, but then he just, like, at the end of the game, he kind of, like, showed me his stick, and he's like, he had Scheifele on. He's like, oh, it's Scheif's stick. I was like, oh, that's what it is.
Vicious.
Just sniping. Like, Scheif was great. He had, like, 4 goals in the OHL finals that 1/3 period against 4 goals and 1 assist in 1 period against the London Knights.
Insanity.
And yeah, they almost won the OHL title that year, 2013. This one's kind of a sore point for Colts fans. Like, you look at that year, very close. London scored with 0.1 seconds left to win, and Scheif got hurt at the end of that series. So, yeah, I don't know. Are we going to cry now?
No, we got enough to cry about right now. That we don't need to be throwing that into the mix.
Oh boy!
But no. So anyways, Mark Scheifele's
NHL All-Star,
the top one right now.
Yeah.
And then next you would go to the Detroit Red Wings with Andreas Athanasiou, who has just been incredible this year with Detroit. I mean, I can't think of the last time I put on a like Sports Center and not seen a highlight of him, whether it be his ridiculous speed to they played against Pittsburgh there last week.
Oh,
and
man.
Like, I've always obviously known how fast Athanasiou was, but he got a chance to break past the Penguins defense, and he just flew past Chris Letang. And Chris Letang is one of the most ridiculous skaters in the NHL. Like, he's having an unreal season, and he was gone. Letang was not going to catch him. He was just gone, and yikes.
He has blazing speed. I'm not sure if there's probably Connor McDavid is faster. But I mean, if you go down the list, like, I'd love to see him in that skating competition at the NHL All-Star game. I don't think he doesn't quite have the point. Well, he's not an All-Star yet, but he could get there in the next couple of years.
For sure.
And he just flies. Like, he could be like on the top 5 fastest players in the NHL.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he was super fast on the Colts too. Like, that was kind of his calling card. I remember one year he had 49 goals, and pretty much most of them were on breakaways.
Yeah.
So he was really good. He had 78 goals, 84 assists, 162 points in 132 games with the Colts. 110th overall pick by the Detroit Red Wings. So it's really good seeing him do well, and he's turned into a bit of an internet sensation, like you were saying.
No, people are huge. I got a lot of friends who are Pittsburgh fans, obviously, but some of them live in Michigan, and they love Athanasio. And actually, another point to make is actually in his last game there against Calgary, he registered his 100th career NHL point.
Nice.
2018 this season, 2019, he's played 36 games with Detroit. He's got 14 goals and 10 assists in that time. So he's just, he's unreal. And I mean, fans in Detroit love him, and rightfully so. Makes you look back at the time when they were going through all the contract controversy with him a little while ago and say, what were you guys saying?
Yeah, I saw. I remember when he was holding out, and I was reading tweets about people saying that he should just take like the league minimum. He should take $1 million or whatever, and they were so mad that he was holding out in the contract negotiations. And speaking of which, like, fans need to chill out on talking about contract negotiations, because clearly fans have a bias.
Yeah.
There's a bias towards wanting to do what's best for the team, what's best for their cap hit. Like, we get it. Like, you want to get a deal on all your players, but I mean, give them a break. Like, this is their livelihood. They worked hard to get to where they are, and they're at the top of their profession. People at the top of their profession make money. I mean, like, they have every right to negotiate. They have every right to play where they want to play. And that's my rant.
And for sure, and I mean, like, people are sitting here and they'll throw terms out like hometown discount and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you know what? If the team decides that they want to trade them in 6 months, they took a discount to stay with a team who ended up shipping them out of town for somebody else anyway.
Exactly.
So, like, just because you sign a contract, you're not guaranteed that you're going to be with that team forever. So why should you give the benefit of the doubt to the team when in the future the team is not necessarily going to give you that same benefit of the doubt?
Yeah, and then obviously a high-profile one with the Toronto Maple Leafs was William Nylander, and it was just absolutely driving me crazy. But, I mean, it is what it is. Like, fans are passionate, and I'm not going to harp on them too hard, but you got to understand.
I will. Chill out, guys.
You're nuts. There is a very clear bias in these cases. I did miss Mark Scheifele's points. We were going to do what they did with the Colts as we were going through these guys. So let's get his in there. 84 goals, 133 assists, 217 points. 217 points in 158 games played with the Colts. 7th overall pick by the Winnipeg Jets in 2011. Unbelievable.
Incredible. And then to go on to other excellent point-producing Barrie Colts, San Jose Sharks and Kevin Labanc, who is growing into a huge part of that team.
Straight to the bank. So he had 81 goals, 188 assists, 269 points in 198 games with the Barrie Colts. So he was a 6th-round pick by the Sharks in 2014. That's a steal.
Yeah.
Sitting there right now, 24 points in 42 games. Not bad.
Or actually, then the one post I did for the hockey writers named him and I mean, there's going to be no arguments on this point, is that Labanc is probably the greatest, and by probably, he is the best American-born Barrie Colt player of all time. We spoke to a lot of people, and, anything from number 2 to 5 was kind of, people had different feelings. It was usually the same names, but kind of swapped around. But everyone I spoke to, it was Kevin Labanc.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And his numbers, I mean, it's just ridiculous. He was incredible. And I mean, he's carrying it over to the NHL this season. He's 42 games. He's got 4 goals and 20 assists. I mean, he's an assist machine. He was an assist machine in Barrie. He's now played 174 total NHL games where he's got 23 goals and 61 assists.
Yeah, the thing that stood out to me about Kevin Labanc when he played for the Colts was he was an absolute puck hound. He would get after the puck, and he was probably the best forechecking forward the Colts have ever had. Remember that line, like they dump it in and him, Mange, and Justin Scott, or the year before that it was Joey Blandisi. They get the puck every time. Like they didn't stand a chance.
Well, that 100-point club too. All three of those, Mangiapane, Blandisi, LeBanc, all with 100 points.
Yeah, and LeBanc, his playmaking skills are exceptional. He gets much more assists than he does goals usually.
Yeah.
And he is crazy good with his playmaking skills and his passing. A lot of times his goals are that he's not going to overpower the goalie, but he'll kind of throw in a fake there and with the pass, and then just kind of like wire it upstairs. And he's very he's very creative offensively, and it was a lot of fun watching him with the Colts. They did pretty well in 2015-16. They made it to the OHL finals, got swept by Niagara, unfortunately. Yeah. But I was kind of surprised Niagara ran over them in that series.
I was very surprised.
But that was a fun year. I mean, we've had some good teams over the year. 2015-16, they made a deep run. 2013, last year was good. I mean, the fact that the Colts are selling off now and kind of doing a little bit of rebuilding, I've heard a lot of negativity about it. But I mean, it is what it is. Like, we've had more up years than down years, so it's
tough to get too hard on everybody.
Got to be grateful.
For sure. Speaking of grateful, let's talk about another Barrie Colt, or former Barrie Colt, who not only put up incredible numbers in Barrie, but is actually 5 points away from 500 career NHL points.
Wow.
And that's Brian Little with Winnipeg.
Yeah, he's played. We don't have.
Because they don't have enough Winnipeg or former Colts in Winnipeg right now. You got him.
Yeah, the
Lemieux, Scheifele.
The Winnipeg Colts.
Just ridiculous.
He's had a NHL career, 793 games, and all with the same organization. He actually got drafted by the Atlanta Thrashers, 12th overall in 2006, and obviously the Atlanta Thrashers moved the franchise to Winnipeg.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, and that was a good move for them, definitely. But it says a lot about a guy when he's played his entire career for one organization and they're not really willing to move on from him, or they keep renewing his contracts. And when trade talks happen, they never move him. Mm-hmm. Like, he's a super character guy. He could possibly be the best Barrie Colt ever. He has the most points ever.
As far as points go,
it's debatable who the best Barrie Colt ever is. There's been a lot of good players, but 342 points in 247 games played with the Colts. It's pretty stellar. Gene has a good story about that. He got drafted in the 3rd round by the Colts in his minor midget AAA year. He was actually hurt most of the year, and the Colts knew about him, and they had him pegged for that spot. And they were just dying watching the names on the ticker go, because they knew who they wanted. And when the final name went and it was their turn and they had the right to select Brian Little, apparently the room erupted. Mm-hmm. All the scouts and management and whatnot back in 2006. So yeah, good story for him, and man, he was just a beast on the Colts.
Well, I mean, like, you look at those banners at the arena, and literally, as far as all-time point production, number 1, Brian Little. Most goals of all time, number 1, Brian Little. Most assists of all time, number 1, Brian Little.
Unreal.
Tied for assists, but even still, I mean, it's you know.
Yeah, tied with Daniel Tkachuk. He was another good one. Awesome, unbelievable. Yeah, so he's still going strong in Winnipeg, and I think he's usually in around the 3rd line role, maybe 2nd line. He's really known for his defense. Really solid player, and awesome to see him still fleecing guys in the NHL.
Totally. And as far as more recently with the Colts players, Andrei Svechnikov with the Carolina Hurricanes.
Nice. Svech is having fun in his first year in the NHL. We wish he was still with us, but 11 goals, 8 assists, 19 points in 39 games. And he's, I don't know, he seems to be having a lot of fun. What was he doing? He slid
He
into
was
a
bowling
net.
or something like that in one of those wacky Carolina Hurricanes celebrations at the end of the game after they win. Actually, we got a bunch of very nonsensical photoshops of that as well. Look for I think I might even throw a post together with it. But yeah, I mean, we wish we could have had him longer here in Barrie. I mean, 72 points in 44 games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, imagine if that guy had a full season in Barrie. He would have been ridiculous as far as point production. I mean, 72 points in 44 games for a rookie is nonsense.
And obviously, he was the second overall pick last year by the Carolina Hurricanes. Rasmus Dahlin went ahead of him, but he's doing some crazy stuff in the NHL. He's getting a lot more confident. There was a play maybe just under a month ago where he just burned Shea Weber, just flew by him, and then deked backhand, put it upstairs on Carey Price. I tweeted that one out. Like, that was just incredible. And he's getting a lot of snipe goals lately. Like, his shot is looking good. He's just, like, burying it. He actually put Athanasiou into the bench with his physicality. Nice hit there.
Yeah, I saw that too.
The thing about he was as much as he was a great offensive player and overall just a physical stud, he was very tenacious and nasty out there. Like, he put AA in the bench. He did stuff in Barrie like I couldn't believe. He very active with the stick. Just a trooper.
Well, with our hitter award, he was second in the voting, I think, among all of us. So
exactly.
I mean, he's just always been that. And as much of an offensive threat as he is, I mean, he's a good 200-foot player.
Yeah,
and he does everything. And he's got that size.
Yeah,
he's got the speed. And I mean, it's no wonder that half of the fans of the OHL felt like he was like a 23-year-old when he was playing in the league. Because he looks like that. He looks older. He plays mature. He's that good of a player, and he's really going to develop into something special, especially as Carolina works to improve.
Oh, man, he was so good last year. I put a lot of kilometers on my car driving to games. I would go everywhere to watch him play in the Colts.
You can go watch him in Carolina for cheap.
Yeah, that'd be a few.
There'll be lots of seats available for you. So
yeah.
Speaking of teams that have lots of seats available, the next player is Aaron Ekblad, who plays with the Florida Panthers. 39 games played this season. Ekblad's, he's starting to put the time in anyways in the NHL. He's got 7 goals and 8 assists this season. He is 1 assist from 90 career assists. He's got 60 goals in the NHL, 1 point away from 150 career points. Time flies, man. I feel like we literally just had EK on the team.
Yeah, plus 14 too. That's pretty solid considering he's on the Panthers.
He is on the Panthers.
They're not one of the top teams, that's for sure.
No,
why are we so positive? They're one of the worst teams.
They're terrible.
And
I mean, he's almost got.
I'm always trying to do a positive spin on everything.
Yeah, well, I mean that's how we are.
So yeah, he had 40 goals, 76 assists, 116 points in 175 games played with the Barrie Colts. So yeah, he was the first overall pick in the 2014 NHL draft by the Florida Panthers. And he came to Barrie back before that. I think it was 2010, 2009. I can't remember exactly. On exceptional status. So he's just who he is. Like, he's been very physically strong the whole time. And
another guy who looked like an adult when he played in Barrie. That kid shows up. He's got like a full-blown beard.
But even at the age of 15, he's in the Ontario Hockey League as a defenseman. And the poise and composure he had was really special. Like, you're looking at a kid, most kids don't even make the OHL when they're 16. They have to do a year of seasoning in like junior A or something before they actually make the jump to the OHL. But he made it even the year before everyone else's draft year, being on exceptional status and played with that poise. And he was a special player. I mean, that snapshot from the point, like, he put it like a foot off the ice with like no release, and it would go 100 miles an hour. Like,
right.
Unbelievable.
Jeez. And then, so we'll go on to the next one here. This one we kind of, because he didn't really spend a lot of time in Barrie.
Yeah, a bit of a rental situation
absolutely,
in the 2010 championship run.
But with the St. Louis Blues, Alex Pietrangelo, who, I mean, he's putting in his time in there. He's played over 640 games in the NHL. He was drafted in 2008 by St. Louis, first round, 4th overall pick. 644 career games, 85 goals, 285 assists. Plus 58 in that time. And considering the team's kind of struggling, he's a -6 this season. But Tyler Tucker could end up playing with him here in
St. Louis. He had 9 goals, 20 assists, 29 points in 25 games played with the Barrie Colts. He was brought in as a rental in the 2010 championship run. 2010 was a year where the Colts had the number 1 team in the country. That's the only time they've ever had a number 1 ranked team in the CHL rankings, and they had just a ridiculous winning streak at some point. I can't remember what it was. I think it's second in CHL history, but that was an incredible team, and Petro was brought in to go for it. Another reason why Colts fans are typically quite salty is 2010 they lost to the Windsor Spitfires in the final. That's a little bit of a sketchy situation because right after that, Windsor got hit with a lot of sanctions, lost a ton of draft picks, fined and whatnot for breaking league rules. So, I mean, we're not bitter about that at all. Yeah.
I guess enough time has passed where we could probably consider moving on anyways.
Yeah, we could move on.
But it is what it is.
We got a lot of open wounds as Colts fans.
Pietrangelo is turning into be a very, very, very solid NHL player. I mean, he's a huge part in St. Louis. St. Louis fans really like him a lot, and I mean, it's hard not to. I'm a fan of him, and I'm not a St. Louis I don't dislike St. Louis, but I more so like him now, I guess, with Tucker going.
He's captain of the Blues right now.
So he's been a good pickup for them, anyways. Speaking of good pickups, Tanner Pearson.
I'm just going to leave the
Pittsburgh
room.
Penguins.
I'm just going to leave the room and let you go.
It was very exciting when Tanner came in. The last little bit, he's been kind of more on the bottom 6 of the team. The teams, they were really struggling for a little while. And even with that being said, I mean, it's worth mentioning that Phil Kessel's also been playing at times on the third line. So, I mean, Pittsburgh's just a deep team. They've got a lot of talent, and while they struggled earlier in the season, now their goaltending is kind of shaping up. It's like a 7-game win streak right now, and they have no signs of slowing down. Actually, it'll be a great matchup tonight. Pittsburgh's playing against Winnipeg, so you got 4 Colts alumni in that game.
Awesome.
Tanner Pearson.
I might have to tune in.
Mark Scheifele. I think it's on TSN 3, maybe.
Ooh.
Scheifele.
There you go.
Brandon Lemieux, and then Brian Little.
Nice.
So there's
actually gonna watch that.
I'm definitely gonna. It's nice if there is.
It could be World Junior stuff on, but
yeah, I'm gonna watch the NHL game. I'm not watching World Juniors anymore.
Canada's out.
I'm done.
Oh man, and honestly, with Canada being out, can we just relax, people? Maxime Comtois taking the abuse from half the country. Well, the frustrated part of the country. That's just ridiculous. Have a heart. These guys are kids, man.
Kids.
Honestly.
And you're just ripping into... And what's worse is it's not just people being, passionate. It's people that are just being vicious, And half the comments I'm seeing are, anti-francophone, I don't want to say borderline. They're flat-out racist comments, and they're just disgusting. And it's... you just hope that these people don't have kids that end up having to go through what they are putting this kid through, because it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's really hard to see. A lot of people going under fake aliases and whatnot on social media.
Keyboard warriors.
Yeah, it's just sad. The thing about that situation for me is they're kids. People forget that. People do forget that because these guys are very composed. They're very mature for their age. They're taught a lot of life skills that most other people don't learn till later in life. So, in a way, they kind of, by the time they get to World Juniors, they're very seasoned in the interviews. They seem like adults, but, and they're very confident young men. So, it's they can probably handle it, most of them, but you just don't know. You can't be doing that.
I mean, and the argument you see with people is, They're saying that they're pro athletes, and they're not. They're not. They're like, what was the paycheck they got to play in the World Juniors?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like these guys are a lot of, especially in Team Canada, most of them are in the CHL.
Yeah.
You know, it's they're trying to work their way up. They're trying to, you know, and I mean, I get that fans get upset. People take this tournament very seriously, you know, and that's fine. You know, be passionate about it, represent your country, but you're not bettering anything by ripping into kids.
Yeah, it's rough.
You know, these are the same ones that take their kids to their hockey games and are swearing at their little kids that are, you know, not playing the way they want to be, you know. Like, don't, as hard as you think it is on you as a fan, if you think that the loss was harder on you than it was for these kids who have trained and put the work in and have done the trip and are spending time away over the holidays from their families to be a part of this, to not get the return or the result that they want, but then to have a bunch of just mouth breathers laying into them on the internet, just stop. If you don't have anything good to say, don't say it.
That's a one thing my dad taught me when I was growing up, and it was the golden rule: if you don't have something nice to say, then don't say anything at all.
Absolutely.
And that will serve you very well in life. But
it served us.
It's kind of hits home in the OHL too. Like, OHL Twitter is just, it's just crazy. Like, I don't know. I find it's very negative a lot of times out there. And you even see, like, some of my friends on Twitter write out tweets saying, like, they need a break from Twitter because it's, like, so vicious. And it's, like, a lot of people that do, like, what some of us do here, and we're super fans. We enjoy writing about stuff. Like, it's for fun. Like, we're, like, everyone's so quick to get on you about stuff. So
if you're not getting enjoyment out of this hockey and it's making you that mad, then don't follow.
Yes,
there's other things that you can use that energy towards that are not as stupid. Anyway. If you are yelling at little kids on the internet because you didn't get the hockey result that you want, I mean, even if you're cursing and saying borderline racist things to pro athletes, maybe you need to find a better way to spend your time. Sports might not be for you. Just take a breath. There's next year. Don't rip into the kids. That's it.
Sounds like a deal to me.
Let them live. You know. Speaking of kids.
You
know, I guess he's not really a kid anymore.
1996 born. Time flies.
But I mean, we would be really, 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 really not doing ourselves any credit by not bringing up Mackenzie Blackwood and how outstanding he has been for. Well, in this short period of time anyways, for the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah, he came into a situation with New Jersey where Keith Kincaid and Corey Schneider ended up out. And he kind of got the opportunity of a lifetime here. Got called up to the Devils and has absolutely lit it up. It's incredible. 2 straight shutouts. Sitting at a 1.91 goals against average.
Shut out Vancouver, shut out Sveshnikov and Carolina.
945 save percentage. He took a loss. I guess he took an L in the last game, eh?
Yeah, they lost to Dallas.
Yeah. But, I mean, he's still
Dallas
those numbers, right? Yeah. So, Dallas is an offensive dynamo. So,
despite what that one CEO thinks about some of their top players. But, yeah, no, they really are. And but, I mean, I watched a couple of the Blackwood games with New Jersey, and he's so confident, and he moves so well. And for a big goalie, he covers that lower part of the net so well. And he just drops. And even when he's on his knees, he just takes up the entire net. You know, and he was drafted by New Jersey in 2015, second round. It was the 42nd overall pick. And he's just showing that, especially with, you know, I don't know how long-term Schneider is out for, but
yeah,
he has a good chance in just out-battling Kincaid for that spot. I'll be honest. I've seen him a couple times, and he's okay sometimes, but sometimes he's not great. But, I mean, right now, Blackwood looks great, and they should just ride with it.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry to interrupt. Blackwood, I guess he's got with the Colts, he had an 84, 42, and 4 record. That's pretty serious stuff there. 910 save percentage in his career, 2.94 goals against average. At the time, the Colts had a pretty offensive team, so like there was a lot of goals scored, a lot of goals against. Like their main defenseman was Rasmus Andersson, who was more of an offensive defenseman. So, I mean, having a lot of goals in games, that's why the goals against was up there. But he was amazing on the Colts, really athletic.
When he earned his spot too in Barrie, it's not like he came in as like they knew he was going to be the guy. He had to put the work in, and so and I mean, it looks like he has that same opportunity here with New Jersey.
Nice.
And actually, it was a good segue because you literally just mentioned his name.
The
last one we're going to mention right now, which, by the way, it's wild that we are able to discuss this many players from the Colts who are doing so well in the NHL right now.
I know, it's awesome.
Rasmus Andersson, who was kind of a bit of yo-yo with the NHL and the AHL, but he seems to have a solidified spot with the team this season. He's played in 39 games. He's got a goal and 3 assists. He's a defenseman, so he's looking really good. I've watched him in a couple games, and I think the only thing he really needs is Andrew Mangiapane there playing forward with him.
Unbelievable. I don't understand that, but he got a goal there the other night, or it was a while ago now.
Yeah, it was a little bit ago, but it was
blast,
nice shot from the point too, which is stuff we're accustomed to. He got a point here yesterday. He got an assist against Boston, and he's getting pretty good minutes. He played just over 13 minutes against Boston, anywhere from 13 to even 14 minutes when they played against San Jose. So, they're obviously feeling more confident with him, and I mean he's not a huge guy, but he's a bigger bodied guy, and he's aggressive. He's got a great shot. He's a very good positional player. I loved when he was in Barrie. Those seasons he was one of my favorite Colts.
Yeah, with the Barrie Colts, he had 21 goals, 103 assists, 124 points in 131 games. Went in the second round, 37th overall, 2015 draft by the Calgary Flames. So that wasn't that long ago, like 4 years ago. Like 3.5 years ago, and to be up already on the big club as a D, like usually D take longer to make it to the show. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, he only played 11 games in the NHL prior to his stint this year.
Yeah,
and he didn't produce anything anyways. So I mean, all of his points come from this season, and he's developing really well, and Calgary has a good one in him. He's a heck of a player, and he's just going to get better. Keep building that confidence, and the team gets more confidence in him, and that wraps it up for the alumni. Anyways, and I think that was pretty much all we really wanted to.
No, wait. We're gonna.
It is not.
I am ready to do a little bit of, like, I've been having a little bit of doing a little bit of nostalgic kind of historical views of the previous Colts teams, and I just kind of wanted to bring up, since we were talking about so many alumni, my all-time dream team that I did a while ago. Remember that one?
Yeah, man.
So yeah, the top line, we got Scheifele, Athanasiou, and Sheldon Keefe. So we didn't talk about Sheldon Keefe, but he was a second rounder at Tampa Bay. He got tons of points for the Colts. Part of that 2000 OHL championship team, which was pretty incredible, they caused some crap.
Yeah.
They were like, that 2000 team was just, honestly, Google 2000 Barrie Colts, and you'll get that there, because I don't even want to say it publicly here. So second line, I got.
Well, Keefe was great too, like you said, with the Colts. I mean, he's got for a season, he's number 2 for points in a year.
121, yeah.
In 99, 2000, 121 points. The only one that has more in a season is Kevin Labanc.
Yeah, basically what ended up happening that year is they won the OHL, and there was a lot of issues. Like he gave it to David Branch pretty good at the awards ceremony there. I said I wasn't going to talk about this, but here we go. And then basically what happened was they went to the Memorial Cup, and an issue that arose is Jefferson did an interview. So Mike Jefferson, he was another former Colt that was really good, did an interview and talked about how much better Sheldon Keefe was than Brad Richards, and how like Richards wouldn't last 6 games in the OHL because the Quebec is a soft league. And so basically Jefferson lit a fire under Brad Richards' behind right before the finals there, and Richards lit us up. So yeah, that's the story there.
It's one thing to try to get in the head of other people, but in this case, it didn't pan out as I'm sure you'd hoped.
That team caused a lot of problems, like walking out on the awards ceremony, disrespecting David Branch,
not shaking hands.
Like there's various things. The Colts ended up. There was a big fine levied against the Colts during the Memorial Cup for all of that. There's a lot of shenanigans, like a lot of press conferences gone wrong. It's very interesting stuff. Shania, I can't remember her last name. There's somebody who wrote a bunch of articles about the 2000 Barrie Colts. So just Google that and search, and there's a lot of information there. But yeah, I mean, there was players put under the bus to pass through customs. So yeah, that was good times.
Need a Colts documentary to fill in all this stuff.
Yeah, but that was the championship year. That was the one we got. We got 2000. I mean, that the team in 98-99 was very close as well. Like that team had 2 amazing top lines, Daniel Tkachuk, Michael Henrich, and Dennis Fidke, and then they also had Sheldon Keefe, Ryan Barnes, and Mike Jefferson Danton, and that 98-99 team almost made it all the way. The problem that happened there was the goalie Brian Finley got hurt, so he broke his finger in like the last series against Oshawa. And there's a bit of an interesting story there. Like, basically, Bert Templeton, the coach at the time, wanted him to freeze it.
That'll make his finger work.
But the player agent at the time wasn't having that.
And rightfully so.
It was that was the good old days, though, right?
Totally.
Good old Bert Templeton. Oh man, he was
get in there, kid.
Unbelievable. Like he had a mouth on him, that's for sure. The agent prevailed there, and we ended up with a rookie in net, and they had a 3-0 lead on Oshawa, and that was when he got hurt, and then the kid got lit up for 4 games. He was nervous. There was one point where like he was like 3 feet out of the net, and like the guy just, or like even more than that, like he was way out of the net, and like the guy in Oshawa just looked up and like was like, what? And just kind of threw it in the net.
Goodness.
So people have to remember, like, these are kids. Sometimes they get rattled, right?
It happens, man.
So, anyways.
Especially when you got dudes trying to throw you into games with broken limbs.
Anyways, yeah, this is going a lot longer than I thought it would, but I mean, I also got Volchkov there. He was the first ever Barrie Colts star, Russian winger. Daniel Tkachuk, I think he's second all-time in points on the Colts. Jan Bulis, another one from back in the Volchkov days.
Tkachuk's second in points. He is second in goals. He's second in assists. All-time.
Yeah, and then Svechnikov, Suzuki, I got on there. Andrew Mangiapane, Brian Little, Kevin LeBanc, Aaron Luchuk. We got the Ukraine train, Dennis Fidke. And then on D, got Luch Nasato, Aaron Ekblad, Rasmus Anderson, Martin Skula, Eric Reitz, and Alex Petrangelo. And then at goalie, just talked about Brian Finley and Mac Blackwood.
We also just talked about.
There it is.
Beauty.
Nice.
Pretty solid team, eh?
Yeah, no, I like the way I kind of dubbed this one was I thought it would be fun if I could like somehow get them all together in their junior hockey glory for on a team, but like I mean,
those posts are always fun to do, anyways, too. Just to kind of take
maybe in the afterlife
different time frames. You never know, man.
Yeah, you never know.
Been Quite possibly. And and I think that pretty much maybe now wraps it up. I think
we love to talk, eh? We're at an hour and 16 minutes. Have we lost everyone by now? Are you guys still there?
We were talking about how this should be a quick episode.
Yeah.
And that's usually what happens before we end up just talking forever. So
that's hilarious.
Thank you for listening. For those of you that are still tuned in at this point, be sure to check out the website, www.averyverycoltsblog.com, which I'm sure you're already aware of. Follow us on social media. That's at veryverycolts on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. Find us on Podomatic, iTunes, whatever, Google Play, Spotify. Follow. I guess you can follow me on Twitter. That's at RyanNoble66. And also follow
Ryan P. McArthur on Twitter.
Check out our stuff. Check out our content. Interact with us. Follow us. Like us. Because we like you. So, most of you, except for those ones yelling at little kids. With the exceptions of the ones yelling at little kids, we like you. Oh, man. And that's it.
That's it.
So thank you for tuning in.
All right.
Colts got a couple games this weekend. Tomorrow and the next day, probably. And tune into those. Well, we're both on the road.
We're watching the Pens game tonight.
Yes, so. Go Pens, but do well, Scheifele, Lemieux, and Little.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And Pearson.
And, well, especially Pearson. I want him to light them up.
Oh, right. Yeah, go Pens. Gotcha.
Go Pens.
All right, I think we're losing our minds here. So we're about time to shut her down. So let's go Colts. Go Colts, go, as we like to finish these podcasts. And let's get her done, boys. Let's have a good second half of the year.
Absolutely.
And welcome to all the new guys.
Definitely.
Sense to my revolution, soon get you bruised with my movements, blueprints. Music I splatter, oozes the same gruesome putrid fluid as a slain cadaver. Moving through chapels, using a scalpel to cut.